Hey guys, Abraxas here, and I'm going to be playing some Universe Sandbox 2. So, I had a busy day yesterday, and yeah, I didn't really get around to actually playing anything and recording any videos because, well, yeah, I was busy. So, my suggestion today is to basically place Mars, and what I want to do is essentially try to warm Mars with a black hole. So one thing I want to do is I'm going to actually orbit the moon around Mars. So let's go ahead and get the moon to orbit around Mars, which, as you see, the moon is a relatively big object. So there we go. Now we have the moon orbiting around Mars. Now the point of this is to attempt to actually get Mars to warm up, which we don't really have to warm it up that far since Mars is only negative 26 degrees. But we want to try to use tidal heating to actually warm up Mars. But there is a catch. Let's go ahead and pause the game here. We actually want the moon to be a black hole. The suggestion was for me to use a black hole orbiting around Mars as a moon to actually warm it. So, how do we do that? We essentially just increase or decrease the radius and lock the mass. So let's go ahead and do that. And eventually, as we decrease the radius, it'll get down to a point where it'll essentially collapse into a black hole. So we are compressing the moon down to a very, very small point. And it's going to be actually a really tiny black hole, probably smaller than a person. Look at how tiny the moon's getting. Basically smaller than an asteroid right now, or a large asteroid. We have the moon compressed down to 500 meters now. We have the moon compressed down to 3 meters now. 2 meters. Now it's actually about the size of a human being. If I were to take some of these objects here, let's use the police box, totally not TARDIS, for example. You can see that it's actually... No, it's actually a little bit smaller than the moon, but let's just place the TARDIS here, just for reference. And let's go ahead and place a basketball right there. And let's just keep shrinking it down. It's now 14 centimeters in size, so really, really small. In fact, if I were to take a basketball, it might just be bigger. Actually, no, not quite. The basketball is still a little bit smaller than a moon, so let's go ahead and put a golf ball next to the basketball and the pool ball. And let's just get rid of this basketball over here. So let's keep compressing the moon. Look at how tiny this moon is getting, and it's still not a black hole. Okay, so there's the moon, and here is a dice block. Look at how much bigger that dice block is than the moon. I believe that's the smallest object that we have actually in the game. Did it transform? I think the moon might have just collapsed into a black hole, but I don't actually see it. No, it's still showing the moon, it's just not visible anymore. Well, let's keep compressing it down. Oh, there it is. You can still kind of see it. Let's get rid of this dice block. It's having some rendering problems now that it's so small. Did it go? Ah, yes. I think we have a black hole moon now. So there's the moon, the size of a black hole. So For Earth, you'd basically have to compress Earth to about the size of maybe an American quarter to have a black hole. So, yeah, that's actually really, really small. And the moon is like, what is it, 1/3 the size of Earth? So, there is our black hole moon. Very, very tiny. As you can see, it kind of messes with the lighting of Mars. But if we hit play, it should work just fine. Let's decrease the amount of hours. Now, it's too small. It doesn't like to render properly, but it should still have the same effects on Mars. Our black hole moon. Now, I'm not seeing any actual tidal heating from what I can see. In fact, it's cooling down because there's no sun, actually. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to decrease the semi-major axis. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so that should possibly make some tidal effects on Mars. Let's watch the surface temperature. So it's still declining. Let's go ahead and speed up time a little bit. Okay, so it's still declining. Let's go ahead and move this mass a little bit closer to Mars. There we go. Now let's watch the temperature. It is still going down, surprisingly. But it's also causing Mars to kind of orbit around it. Go ahead and decrease the mass a little bit more. Or, not mass, eccentricity. The semi-major axis, that's right. Sorry, I just woke up. Temperature is still going down. So I'm thinking this might not actually work. Go ahead and decrease it more. Get this really, really close to Mars. Oh, the temperature is shockingly still going down. I'm messing with the surface temperature of the black hole. Whoops. Where's Mars at now? Noticing it's having a curve, so I think it's actually starting to balance out now. If you saw that curve as the black hole got closer, now it's actually moving up and down as they kind of orbit around each other. Interesting. But it's still decreasing at this point, so let's pause this and select our moon and get a little bit closer. Okay, we got them very, very close. Kind of dangerously close. And the temperature is still kind of plummeting, but in a weird fashion. Let's speed up time and see what happens. That is a weird plateau that it's doing right now. See the temperature, it's kind of moving down like a staircase at the moment. Okay, let's get the moon ever so slightly closer. Maybe this will be enough. It's still kind of doing the staircase thing. Look at Mars just kind of wobble around in its like kind of orbit. But it is still decreasing. Okay, here we go. We are now at, let's put it at 6,000 kilometers. So incredibly close to Mars. It's basically a satellite now. Oh, look at that. We actually heated up Mars, but we heated up a little bit too much. But it's actually working. Let's pull this away to 6,500. Okay. Let's slow down time a little bit so we have a little bit more control over this. Is the temperature decreasing on Mars? It is. Okay, let's zero out the temperature. And watch where it goes from there. It's kind of plummeting still. But that was interesting. Let's slow down time a lot. And let's just inch this moon closer by hundreds of kilometers. So There we go. I decreased it by about 200. Let's see what the surface temperature turns into. So it's still decreasing, but maybe it hasn't had its effect yet. Because it's kind of an eccentric orbit as they orbit around each other. Maybe it will start spiking up. Oh, it is. Okay, so I think it's doing that thing where it's based on like the speed that I actually have the game set to. Because once I actually slow it down, you see that it kind of stables out and starts going downwards. But Mars is actually 130 degrees, so I guess I would want the stable temperature at real time, so seconds per second. Which, yeah, let's just say 6 seconds per second. And let's zero out the temperature and see if it still goes down. Yeah, Mars is slowly decreasing in temperature, so... But, watch. As I speed up the game a little bit, you'll see that it decreases a little bit faster. Which is pretty interesting, but if I speed up the game, you'll see it shoots up, so let's set it to like... Yeah, see? I mentioned this in my previous videos where I attempted this, so... Let's just go ahead and slow down time here, and it'll stable out if I set it to about a minute per second, it seems. It doesn't seem to be spiking up as much. So, really interesting, but there we go. I guess that would be technically a habitable Mars in temperature. Now all we really need is just a good climate, so... What can we do for climate? We can increase Mars's iron core, hopefully not pulling the moon in, to increase its magnetic field, but that's not really even necessary. Only because, well, Mars doesn't need a magnetic field. There's no sun actually blasting with radiation and carrying off this, atmosphere, so... really need much of a magnetic field to actually maintain it. Not unless this black hole is doing anything extreme, and I kind of doubt it at this size. Unless it's pulling in a lot of mass and forming an accretion disk, but I don't think it's actually doing that. I think it's just orbiting just fine. So let's see. We'd want to increase the atmospheric mass. A nice bright atmosphere. So there's our atmosphere. And we would want a little bit more water. Which I'm noticing Mars doesn't have water preset in the game, even though it does have ice sheets, so that doesn't make too much sense to me. But let's add water to Mars. And there we go. We have a Mars with water. Let's make that a little bit more. There we go. So there's Mars with water. We have our water hemisphere, and then we have our normal hemisphere there. Let's change the lighting to flashlights so we can see all the way around the planet. Yeah, we kind of have our huge water hemisphere here, and then we have a few continents over here. So very nice. It still has its ice, though. It's kind of funny. And here we go. We have essentially terraformable Mars right here. I'm noticing the moon. No, I'm looking at trails. Let's turn on orbits. So there's the orbits right there. A little bit elliptical, but that's perfectly fine. I don't think we really need to add a magnetosphere. I don't think that's really necessary. One thing we'd want to do is kind of increase the surface pressure a little bit. Change it to 1 atmosphere of pressure, so it'd be comfortable for us to live on. So there's our beautiful, basically Earth-like Mars right there. One thing we would want to do is add in plants and stuff like that, but I don't think that's actually fully supported in the game. I'll try it. Under powers, I should be able to throw materials at it, and I should be able to throw organics. So, let's just drop some organics here. Oh, whoa. that fire? That might have been fire. That might not have been good. Maybe I threw it a little bit too fast. Yeah, I might have threw that a little bit too fast. Now it's actually evaporating water. That's probably not good. We have to sit here and manually drop this temperature until that explosion disappears. I think something bad might have happened. Yeah, I'm not seeing the moon anymore. That might have actually just collided. Nope, the moon's still orbiting. So let's go ahead and zero out the temperature again. And hopefully a lot of this water returns. Oh, it did. Actually, quite a bit of it did. There's the explosion right there. And the temperature is still increasing quite significantly. Gotta basically wait for this explosion here to despawn. And I'll go ahead and let a lot of these particles just kind of orbit around and collide into Mars. Yeah, you can see the atmosphere burning up again. Okay, so here is what I'm going to call our stable Mars. How am I going to actually add life to this? I don't think there is a way to actually show green life on Mars. Yeah, whenever I throw organics at Mars, it basically just burns it up, so yeah, I don't think there's a way to actually do this. Anyways, yeah, here is our kind of terraformable Mars, using a black hole to warm it. Of course, it's not really stable in the game. Like I said, it moves based on time. If I slow down time, it like kind of cools down. If I speed up time, it starts heating up. I don't know what exactly is the effect there, but yeah, that's essentially what happens. Anyways, if you guys liked the video, please leave it a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, please do subscribe, it really does help, and I will see you guys in the next one. Now, for the hell of it, let's just go ahead and blow up Mars. Here we go. And there goes Mars. Anyways, see you guys.